How do you do? So new version of Pro Tools came out 2025.10, in which they introduced a few interesting features also regarding on the workflow. And one is of course the WalkMix, that is kind of a 360 renderer in case you are doing a kind of surround sound mixes and binaural type of things. So that's one thing to check out. Also they introduced an integration with SoundFlow, which is actually pretty interesting, and let's dive into that as well. There were some additional things that we will look now into, so let's get going. Okay, so before diving deeper into the few interesting features in my eyes, let's look at what there is new. So yeah, so as discussed already. Okay, so let's dive into what's new in Pro Tools 2025.10. As mentioned, they included now WalkMix, a kind of 360 renderer that help you to do kind of immersive audio type of mixes if you are into that. Then additionally, I think this was actually big, at least in my eyes, kind of interesting thing that they added the SoundFlow part of the Pro Tools, and I think you of course need to have a subscription. But anyway, that's interesting to look into that, what it provides. And out of the box, unlike some of the other plugins, this is quite usable, and I will show how. And then they added some plugins, and that's always kind of also thing. But the thing in my eyes with these plugins is that they all come with kind of a light version. So you kind of can do something with those, but then in order to do something more, you need to buy the full license. So it's kind of nice, but then in a certain respect, it's kind of like meh. Anyway, there were some plugins added and then some native instrument content if you are interested on those. But yeah, let's dive into the two major topics, I think, in this update. And look into that one. So one thing, of course, was also previously what they added was not in this version, but the integration with Splice. And it seems that most of the digital audio workstations are following now each another, because Studio One included Splice. Then actually I think came Pro Tools, and now in a beta version of Ableton Live you also have Splice included. So they are all kind of competing to catch up with things. And so, but hey, let's look into the SoundFlow first, and for that I will share another screen and another video in the left lower corner. So I will show how actually this could be utilized. But this is actually interesting in a way that you can, of course, pop this up and then bring it back into here, and then look into it. So if I go into the audio suite, I can now start to, for example, let's say that I'm here and I want to add a track. So I want to create a new track, and I want to create for example, let's do an audio stereo track. So boom, I got an audio stereo track. But hey, one thing is actually interesting. If you happen to have a Mac environment in which you have a touchscreen, you could actually use this with your touchscreen, and I will now show how. So for that I will add another camera that will actually show you my touchscreen. Okay, so now in the lower left corner you will see also my touchscreen here, which is basically a screen, and it's an MP MIDI controller. So it's actually also extremely handy plug-in controller, but also, you know, touchscreen. So for that actually you need to buy a separate driver. So and I have actually some demos and videos about that in my channel if you want to check out how to use touchscreens with your Mac installation. I'll include a link to that as anyway, so that you can check that driver that is needed to be bought in order to use the screen as touchscreen. Anyway, let's get going with the main topic, and that was basically that if I pop up now from here the SoundFlow into my touchscreen window, I can actually now use it from the touchscreen. So again, if I need to add a track, I can create a new track, and I want to create a MIDI track. So boom. Or then if I want to go and what I would like to do, work with the colors, track color, let's put it on red. So now you can see that no, actually I want it to have yellow. No, actually I want it to have green. So you can run all these SoundFlow macros from here with touchscreen, which makes it pretty convenient. Also, like this, I can basically, remove the track list, open the track list, and there are quite plenty of macros already here readily available, and it's very usable and makes your workflow a lot faster. So this is really a great add-on what they have brought in this version. I really like it, and of course it might make also my kind of iPad thingy a bit obsolete. I need to check that out, because now I have everything here, so I don't need to kind of do anything. I can control everything from the SoundFlow and from the touchscreen, which is interesting. Okay, the next topic that I wanted to discuss is the renderer that they included also. It's also a light version, so you don't get the full benefits of it, so you would need to buy a full license in order to utilize it, but let's still take a look at it, that what does it actually mean. So first and foremost, you need to actually go into the setup and I/O, and then in I/O you have this renderer, and here you need to select the renderer, like which is 360 array WalkMix renderer. So that's one thing. The second thing is that you can also enable this renderer here, so that you actually are able to control it from your menu and from a toolbar. So so from here you can actually define what type of a rendering it will do. I have a basic stereo configuration, and I don't have defined any kind of a multi loudspeaker like 7.1 or any of those Atmos stuff, but I can still do a kind of a binaural and kind of immersive audio experience using that. So once you have done that, then actually what you need to do for each and every track is that you need to go here, and actually select the render and assign it as an object. So if now, for example, I would like to use this one, I can go here, and I need to go here and say that I assign it into the object. And once I have done that, then it will be using that 360 renderer. What does that mean? And in simple terms, let's actually do one thing. I'll put the master down, so it will not, hopefully will not kind of sound too bad, like just kind of demoing it in a way that how and what does it actually mean. If I go here, which is basically then the banner, I can then see actually where I have panned the stuff. I can also lock the left and right, so that when I move them, they move together in relation. Then I can move and change this, this perspective, like top of from where I want to actually look it, which is actually nice. And then, of course, if I now start to kind of move things around, they will basically move around in that sphere. And if you are listening the sound, you can actually see it even with the like with the headsets. You can kind of hear it moving around, and it's not that obvious, I would say, most likely, than if you would have like a full surround full surround thing where you see things on top or bottom or whatever are the dimensions that you would render it. So this is one thing. Of course, here also you can go into the configuration of the renderer, and you can basically enable and disable the EQ. So you can do some EQing for your headphones. Here you would have also if you have speakers, you could actually move between the headphone and speaker setup here. Then you also see where your stuff are placed in here, and so let's basically maybe play a bit, and I'll just open this render, and might be it's too mild, but if you are with your headset, you might hear that how the sound is actually traveling, and actually it might, let's see. So that it doesn't sound too wild in your, but let's go back to the this is basically let's link them together. So this is now for the audio, and if we start to move this around, you can hopefully hear it, and then you can also bring them on the bottom, or you can then bring them to top of your head, and things like that. So that's something that is pretty interesting, specifically if you want to do an immersive audio experience with your audio. So again, like currently you are using a limited version, and so I can't, for example, in my understanding, I can't print it out. So I can just play around here and have fun. But in order to kind of really print it out as an audio file, I need to go and buy the full license, and I need to authenticate it. So it's kind of a sneak peek into what you can have, and test it, and see if it makes sense. But again, it kind of like in order to use it, you need to pay extra. Some say that the subscription is quite expensive regarding and compared to the other digital audio workstations. So it might be sometimes great to include these into it by nature. Okay, so that was Pro Tools 2025.10, and in my eyes those two were kind of interesting updates. Although they are nice integrations and bring workflow improvements or abilities to do new type of things like surround sound. One thing that is kind of left short is that they are just light versions, and you can't really use them if you don't buy them. Anyway, the SoundFlow is more helpful and can be used without buying the license from SoundFlow if used like I just showed. Hopefully you enjoyed the video, and remember to like them, as well as subscribe for my channel for more content. Thanks for watching. Bye now.